Hello and welcome to my patch 5.4 PvE weapons preview. So this is going to be all the tier 16 stuff. Basically, it's the stuff you get in Siege of Orgrimmar. Now, as always, there are three versions of each. There is the LFR version, the Flex and Normal version, and then the Heroic version. So we're going to go and get started. First off, we have axes. Now, the one-handed axes. This first one is Herome's Frozen Crescent, and this is, honestly, it's pretty average in most of the colours, I think, apart from the red one. I think the red one looks very painful, especially with the wolf's head and that sort of crystalline structure in the top. So this is pretty cool as far as the one-handed axes go. Now the next one, I think, it's called Malkorok's Skull Cleaver. Obviously, Skull Cleaver. It drops off Malkorok. I think it's pretty cool. I like the horns on it. I think that's kind of unique. It's funny saying horns being unique for WoW armor and weapons, but whatever. So it's pretty cool. It's just you know what I mean. It's not really. It doesn't have a lot of gravitas. It's not a lot of oomph. Now the next one I think is very cool, and it's Corvin's Crimson Crescent. This is a very cool one-handed axe. Very crystalline structure. It almost looks like it came from the Draenei, especially the heroic version. It looks very Draenei-ish. So yeah, all three colors I think look very cool, especially the purple one and the orange one. I suppose the green one's looking for more of a jade sort of color, but it looks like a pretty clean and cool looking weapon. Now for two-handed axes we have Zalanoth, the desecrated image of Gorehowl. This is Garrosh's weapon pretty much. And damn, it looks, it looks very corrupted, as you can see. I mean, just look at the damn thing, there's gloop everywhere. It has eyeballs. The guy's axe has eyeballs, so hey, you know what, it's pretty unique. Yeah, it's unique. I suppose that's the one thing I'll definitely say about it. It's probably not going to appeal to everybody, but I'd say that those who it does appeal to would like it a lot. Next up we have Nurashen's Shortblade. This is a very Titanic looking dagger. I think it's pretty cool, nice and clean. It's a decent sort of departure from the other daggers that we have here. I think especially the blue Flex and Normal version, I think it looks the best. Although the other versions also look quite good. Next up we have Nazgrim's Gut Ripper. That's a bloody angry name for a knife, isn't it? And damn, look at this thing. Spikes everywhere, very serrated. I think it's a very cool weapon. It almost looks trollish to me, which is a little bit strange. I don't know if that's what they were going for, but it is quite cool. Of the three versions, I don't think any of them stand out particularly, although I do prefer the red one personally, just overall. The next dagger is, well, if I can pronounce it, Rick Kai's Bloody Scalpel. And honestly, I don't think this looks very good. It just looks kind of average, small. Honestly, it doesn't really look like you do that much damage with it either. There's the three versions, the orange, the yellow, and the grey one. Really mediocre. Now let's move on to fist weapons. And these are pretty damn cool. It's called Softfoot's Last Resort. No idea who Softfoot is, but I think it's pretty cool. Now the normal and LFR versions I think are pretty meh, but I like the red version. I think it's pretty nice and cool. Now that that's over with, let's move on to maces, and there's some very cool, very bashy looking maces. First off we have the Encapsulated Essence of Immersius. This is, once again, it looks like a cross between a Draenei style thing and a kind of Mogu Pandaren style thing. I think it's pretty cool though. As far as the three colors go, I think the middle one looks the best, and I could actually see it looking really good on that the white and gold paladin armor. The heroic one's actually a little bit sort of sparse in the color palette for my liking, but whatever. I still think it's definitely one of the cooler weapons that there are here. Now the next one's pretty cool. It's called the Seismic Boar. It's a drill. It is a drill disguised as a mace. So I'd imagine like this should be completely OP. It should one-hit everything and just drill them to pieces. All of the three versions, I think they all look pretty cool. The blue one's perhaps the least impressive, the blue being the heroic version. I think the other two are nice though. So yeah, it's a very unique weapon. I'd see it looking very good on a goblin character. Next up we have Cardress's Scepter. And, well, I don't know why, because there's other weapons that kind of look similar in style to this, but I don't think this looks as good. I think that it looks like a very bashy weapon and therefore suits a two-handed kind of deal better. Of the three colors, I think the heroic one looks the best. It's the bluish one, blue and gold. But overall, yeah, it's just pretty average, you know, not the best, but not the worst. And next up we have the Horned Mace of the Old Ones, obviously going with the sort of Old Gods vibe, and it is damn cool, I think. It's different, and I think that's pretty nice. Often they sort of just like lean on a whole bunch of generic things for maces and stuff, but these look interesting. They pretty much look like a seeing stone for an old god or something, and they're horned. They've got like 2 big horns on them. I think it's kind of nice, actually. Now next up we have the two-handed one, and this is one of my favorite weapons here, actually. Not because it looks pretty, but because it looks brutal. It's called Gartok Strength of the Faithful, and strength indeed. This thing looks like it absolutely bashes shit to pieces, which is insane and awesome and fun to look at. I'd see it working really well on a Death Knight or a warrior character. Now let's go on to the swords, and as always there are a lot of swords. The first one is called Jifeng, Long Blade of the Titanic Guardians. Once again, it's kind of Titanish looking weapon, and it's kind of just a sword, really. It's very glowy. I think that the best version is the blue one, although the heroic one's pretty nice as well. And yeah, it's a strength hit, stamina one, so maybe for the tanks, I don't really know, honestly. Yeah, it's hit and mastery, so I don't really know what sort of character this would go on. I don't really use swords in any of my characters, to be honest. Next up we have the Spellblade. Honestly, it's called Arcweaver Spell Sword. I think it looks crap. I mean, it's just very mediocre. I'll flash the 3 versions of it here on the screen and then just move on, because I don't think it looks that good. Next we have the Enhanced Shaotian Saber. And this is pretty much that dagger from earlier, the Mogu looking dagger, but as a sword. So really my past opinions in this apply. I think the coolest one's actually the Raid Finder one, although the purple one, it looks kind of Draenei-ish, which is weird. Now next up we have Kilrook's Furious Blade. I think this looks awesome. This is really crystalline, kind of like Jade sort of style thing, at least for the LFR version, pretty much. It's crystals, and it looks really jagged. It looks painful. Imagine being sliced by that thing. You would be in a world of hurt. Now, next up we have the two-handed sword, and honestly, this kind of looks like, well, it's like a sword and a stick, if you know what I mean. The hilt, whatever, is just really big, and I actually don't think it looks very good. It doesn't look like a sword, it doesn't look imposing. It's called the Great Sword of Pride's Fall, by the way. So yeah, there's the sword. I'm not too keen on it personally, but whatever. Finally we have the polearms. These are exceedingly average. They're called, well, they have a few different names, but really they're all the same model. They're just boring to me. Really boring. If you know, nothing stands out. I suppose it's kind of cool, the different like horns that they have on either side, so that it could be used as like a sort of a beating down weapon instead of just a stabbing weapon. But then again, it can also be used as a slash, so I just, not cool. Now let's move on to shields, offhands, and that kind of thing. So, first of all we have, well, this actually goes by a few different names. It's Nurshen's Enigmatic Barrier and the Ancient Mogu Tower Shield. This is a very, I'd say it's very, is artistic the word? Like, it's very designed, if you know what I mean, as far as shields go. I think, well, personally, I prefer the normal version and the heroic version of it. I think the LFR one's just a little bit dull in the color palette. I think the blue and gold and the green and gold look better than the orange and gold. You know, more contrast, looks a little bit better, so I think it's a pretty cool one. Next up, we have the Shield of Mockery, also known as the Visage of the Monstrous. This is just, you know, 2 things that have the same title. This is weird. This is very weird. It's got a mouth. It's a shield with a mouth. I think it looks really dumb. You can make your own mind up on it, but I just think it looks stupid. So yeah, after that we have the Bulwark of the Fallen General. This is basically just a bit of glowing steel. I don't think it looks great. I mean, it just looks kind of messy to me. And I get it, messy, you know, Shav anger, crazy emotions and shit, so it should be messy, but I just don't think it looks that great. Anyway, there's the shield song. Let's move on to the offhands. We have the Pure-Hearted Cricket Cage. This is just a little offhand. It's well, like a little cage for crickets, I suppose. A little glowing thing that you carry around in your hand. I can't say much about it because I don't play a class that would use it. Now next we have the Festering Primordial Globule. This looks pretty cool to me. It's like a scepter. They have these kind of like balls spinning on them, 3 spikes. It looks very evil, very, very, very evil. And I think that's good. It's unique, nice, I approve. And finally we have the Revelations of Yasharj. These are kind of like spell tombs, but they seem to be completely like overtaken by Yasharj. They have eyeballs. Now, why you would want your book to have an eyeball on it, I don't know. I think it looks wacky for sure. It's not my cup of tea personally, but I could definitely see someone liking it. And now that we've been through all this crazy amount of stuff, let's get on to what is probably the most important to me, and then I'll get on to staffs after that. It is the ranged weapons, and I'm a little bit disappointed if I'm honest. So first of all, we have crossbows. No, crossbows. We have the Death Lotus crossbow. This is a very shiny crossbow, and I just think it looks ugly as hell. I mean, surely this couldn't be finished. It just, to me it looks like crap. It looks so messy, so just unfinished it looks crap. Ugh. So yeah, there's that. Now we have Dargrin's discarded longbow. And once again, I'm not feeling it here. I think it's a little bit too thick. The limbs of the bow are just too coated in random shit for it to be interesting. Now, there's of the three versions, I prefer the blue one and the red one. I think the green one looks a little bit kind of meh. But yeah, whatever. There's that. Next up, we have the Immaculately Preserved Wand. Ooh, fancy stuff. Now, in the model viewer, you'll see a big square. That's not going to be there. I think this is pretty cool. It's just a wand, you know. It's average. It's kind of hard to make a wand ultra interesting at this stage. There's only so much that you can do with so little space. But overall, it's pretty solid, you know. And after that, we have the Corcoran hand cannon. This is a very, very aggressive looking gun, and unfortunately, it's also a very generic gun. They've done lots of guns that evoke the same vibes as this in the past. Really, this one doesn't do anything different. It's got loads of horns on it. This is a very horny tier. There's a lot of things, they just decide to put random horns from different animals all over the place, which is a little bit strange. Now after that we have the longbow. This is called Hyzak's Reserve Longbow. This is probably the best looking one here to me, just because it looks a little bit better designed, it looks a little bit more sleek. It's got a nice kind of bodyguard, arm guard thingy at the front, which I think is cool. The limbs look a little bit less absurdly sort of covered with stuff. However, they are a little bit of an odd shape. It doesn't really look like a bow in some ways, which is always a problem when you're making a bow. But anyway, yeah, let's move on to the final thing, which shall be our staffs. Now, we have the Trident of Corrupted Waters. This is well, it's a pretty large staff actually. The model's really, really long. I think it's kind of, like, the head's pretty cool, I suppose. And overall, the body's just, I don't know, staffs really don't do a good job of really impressing me, I suppose. I do like the way that the actual, is it the body of the staff? What would you call it? The big wooden bit is kind of like split in two with this magic thing flowing. I think that looks pretty nice. And next up we have the Gaze of Arrogance. This is, well, it's basically an eyeball on a stick. Three different colours. There's green, there's purple, and there's red. The red one looks particularly disgusting to me. I don't know, I mean, perhaps if you're like a warlock or, I don't know, you really want to look ultra corrupted, this is a good one, but otherwise I just think it looks a little bit too odd for my own taste. I could definitely see people liking it though. Next we have the Drake Binder Greatstaff. I'm assuming you get this off Warlord Zayla, that would make the most sense. And it's actually pretty mediocre. I mean, the head's not that cool. It's got like a dragon egg on the top, or what looks to be a dragon egg, so I suppose that's nice. But to me it looks a bit like a fire poker. And once again, there are random horns coming out of the bottom of it for really no good reason. I think the golden one looks kind of cool, and so does the red one, so there's that. Finally, we have the Corcoran Spire of Supremacy. This is, it's kind of messy, but very Corcoran feeling. It's, once again, loads and loads and loads of horns, because, you know, we still haven't found a material that's better than a horn for making a staff, right? Yeah, it just looks really aggressive. And pretty cool. It's an agility stamina crit one, so I suppose it's like druidy. It doesn't really feel like a druid weapon though. As much as I think it's cool making stuff to be really based on the tier, I kind of miss the days when they made gear to be based on the class. So yeah, bit of a pity. Anyway, that's been it for my just look and rambling thoughts about all these different pieces of armor, or not armor, weapons. There's so many of them. But yeah, let me know what picks you think are the best. It'll be interesting to hear. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you liked the video, please hit that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you later.